Have you ever felt that strange pull, as if some unseen current was drawing a man toward a woman with a force he couldn't explain? It isn't just about beauty or charm, because there are countless beautiful women in the world, and yet only a rare few seem to awaken something inside a man that lingers, that keeps him restless, that makes him unable to shake her presence even when she's gone. The truth is, there's a deeper language at work, one that most women have never been taught to speak. And when you finally learn it, you stop chasing love and start embodying the kind of energy that makes a man quietly obsessed with you. Not because you manipulated him, not because you played games, but because you touched something ancient inside him, something he himself doesn't fully understand. Carl Jung spent his life mapping this hidden territory of the human soul, and within his discoveries lies a secret about men that most women will never hear. He uncovered that male desire is not merely physical. It is a current of energy so primal and so powerful that, when it finds the right channel, it can transform into an unshakable devotion. Imagine having the key to this energy, not to control it, but to direct it towards something higher, something lasting. That is what I want to reveal to you today. Perhaps you have already tried everything: advice from friends, glossy magazine tips, even the endless tricks from so-called relationship experts. Maybe they gave you a spark for a moment, but never a flame that endured. That's because those things skim the surface, while the real secret lies in the depths of the male psyche, in what Jung called the collective unconscious. It's there, in that ancient part of him, that his sexual energy waits, searching for a place to pour itself into. And when you become the vessel that receives and shapes that energy, you awaken a bond that can't be imitated. This isn't manipulation. This is sacred. It's about recognizing that what draws a man to you in body is only the doorway. But what makes him stay? What makes him return to you again and again in thought, in dreams, in longing, is the way you reach his unconscious self. When a man feels this, he can't quite explain it. He may tell himself he's just attracted to you, but deep down he knows it's more than that. It's the way he senses you, even in silence. The way he remembers your presence, even in your absence. The way you stir not just his desire, but his devotion. And the extraordinary truth is that this power has always belonged to you. It has been sleeping inside your femininity, waiting for you to awaken it. Tonight, that changes. Because I want to take you into a space where the old rules of relationships no longer apply. A world where you don't have to chase, don't have to prove your worth, don't have to bend yourself smaller to hold a man's attention. Instead, you embody the kind of presence that makes attention effortless. You become the mystery he longs to explore, the force he cannot ignore. Jung spoke of the anima, the hidden image of the feminine that every man carries in his unconscious. She is not just the woman he desires, but the soul of the feminine itself, alive inside him. When a real woman in his life connects to that inner image, when she mirrors it back to him, something awakens. His energy surges, his fascination deepens, his entire being seems to reorient itself toward her. And here lies the secret of obsession. It is not born when you dazzle him with tricks or seduction, but when you become the bridge between his conscious self and that hidden feminine within him. You've seen this before, even if you didn't recognize it. You've seen men who seem to come alive around certain women, more radiant, more present, more willing to open themselves. It's not coincidence, it's resonance. Those women, whether they knew it or not, were stirring his anima. They were channeling his sexual energy away from being just an impulse of the body into becoming an energy of creation, of loyalty, of devotion. And you might be wondering, how? How does a woman reach this hidden part of a man? The truth is, there are paths to it, subtle but powerful ways of connection that don't just invite his energy, but redirect it into you. And when that happens, you stop being just another woman in his world. You become the one his soul remembers. But before we step deeper, let me ask you something. If your heart feels a spark as you hear these words, if something inside you is whispering, yes, this is what I've always known, but never been able to name, then take this moment to claim it. Speak your own awakening into existence. Because this journey is not just about learning how to channel a man's energy. It's about awakening your own. What you're about to discover is not a trick you play on men. It's a transformation you allow within yourself. Because when you stand fully in your feminine essence, when you embody it unapologetically, his sexual energy doesn't just follow you, it flows into you. It seeks you. It orbits around you. And suddenly, you are no longer asking, how do I keep his attention? But rather, how do I hold the depth of everything he's giving me? And that is where the true power lies. To understand how to awaken this energy in a man, you must first grasp what Jung discovered about the hidden depths of the psyche. He wasn't simply a psychologist, he was a cartographer of the soul, someone who dared to explore the wilderness of the unconscious. And what he uncovered is that within every man lives two forces: the conscious self he presents to the world, and the shadowed, unspoken inner realm where his deepest desires, fears, and yearnings reside. When you connect only with his surface, you remain replaceable. But when you step into his inner world, when you touch the part of him that even he keeps hidden, you become unforgettable. Think of male sexual energy as a river. On the surface, it may look like it rushes wildly toward physical desire, easily distracted, easily redirected. But underneath, in the depths, lies a powerful current that few women ever reach. That current is not about lust. It is about life force. It is the same energy that fuels his ambition, his creativity, his drive to protect and to build. Jung called this energy libido, but not in the narrow sense of sex. He meant it as the pulse of existence itself. And when you learn to channel it, you do more than captivate his body. You awaken his spirit. Most men spend their lives scattering this energy, chasing shallow satisfactions, never realizing what it could become if it found its rightful place. But when his energy flows into a woman who embodies his inner image of the feminine, that river transforms. It stops leaking into the world and begins pouring into her. And with it comes not only desire, but devotion, creativity, and an almost mystical longing. It's as though you've unlocked a door in him he didn't even know existed, and once opened, that door never closes. This is why some women leave such an imprint on men that years later, they still linger in his memory like a ghost he can't release. It's not beauty alone. It's not charm alone. It's because she touched his unconscious self and gave his energy a channel he had never found before. That is what obsession truly is. The meeting of his primal force with a vessel strong enough to receive it and sacred enough to elevate it. So how does a woman step into this kind of power without playing games or falling into manipulation? The answer lies in cultivating a presence that awakens rather than demands, a presence that draws in his energy like gravity without needing to chase or persuade. Jung called this the receptive nature of the anima, the inner feminine force within a man. When you, as a real woman, mirror this energy, you create a field he instinctively gravitates toward. He feels seen in a way he cannot explain. He feels safe to unfold, yet challenged to rise. And that paradox of safety and mystery binds him closer to you than any strategy ever could. Imagine this. You are not empty, waiting to be filled. You are already overflowing with your own energy, your own radiance, and because of that fullness, a man senses that he can pour himself into you, not to lose himself, but to become more of who he is. His hopes, his fears, his desires, all of it finds a home in you, not because you demand it, but because you welcome it without judgment. That is the first doorway to obsession, becoming a sacred space, a vessel that doesn't trap his energy, but channels it toward devotion. The second doorway is through communication that bypasses logic and touches the soul. Most women speak only to a man's conscious mind, words, facts, rational exchanges. But his unconscious does not respond to logic. It responds to images, symbols, tone, and presence. This is why your silence, your glance, even your stillness can say more than 1,000 rehearsed lines. When you communicate in ways that stir his imagination, his dreams, his intuition, you awaken the part of him that lives beyond words. That is where obsession takes root, in the unspoken, in the mysterious, in the resonance that he feels, but cannot quite explain. The third doorway is one few dare to walk through, embracing his shadow. Every man carries parts of himself he hides, parts he fears will be rejected if ever revealed, and most women never touch those places. But when you can look into the hidden corners of his being and not turn away, when you can hold his flaws, his insecurities, his unpolished truths without flinching, you give him an experience he cannot find anywhere else. You allow him to be seen completely, not only in his strength, but in his weakness. And the man who feels seen in his shadow will cling to the one who saw him there, because for the first time in his life, he doesn't have to pretend. The fourth doorway is the dance of polarity. Jung knew that attraction is born where opposites meet, the spark between masculine and feminine. This has nothing to do with cliches or stereotypes. It is about energy. When you embody your feminine essence in its fullness, soft yet powerful, open yet discerning, you ignite his masculine essence more vividly. You don't collapse into his world, you expand yours. And in that expansion, his energy is drawn to rise and meet you. This polarity is not static. It's a rhythm, a dance. Sometimes you lead, sometimes you surrender, sometimes you mirror. And it is this unpredictability, this aliveness, that keeps him endlessly fascinated. The final doorway is mystery. A man becomes obsessed not with what he fully understands, but with what continually invites him deeper. You do not have to reveal everything about yourself at once. In fact, when you allow mystery to exist, when you remain a landscape he cannot finish exploring, you nourish his hunger for you. Mystery is not about playing hard to get. It is about living in your own depths so profoundly that there are always new layers for him to discover. When he senses that you are infinite, he never tires of seeking you. All these doorways point to one truth. Energy follows attention. When you embody the fullness of who you are, you no longer beg for a man's focus. You become the natural center of his world. His attention flows toward you without effort, because his energy recognizes you as the place where it can finally rest, expand, and transform. And here is the paradox. This isn't about becoming someone else. It isn't about performing or pretending. It is about becoming more of yourself than you've ever dared to be. The more authentically you live in your own body, your own essence, your own wholeness, the more magnetic you become. because authenticity is irresistible, and that is the beginning of real obsession. Now that you understand the foundations of this hidden energy, let us step into the practices that transform theory into lived experience. Because knowledge without embodiment is powerless, but when you breathe life into these truths, you shift not only how men respond to you, but how you move through the world. The first transformation begins not with him, but with you. You cannot channel his energy until you awaken your own. And yet many women have been taught to sever themselves from their sexuality, to treat it as something separate from their spirit, as though being sensual means being less pure. That separation is the very reason so many feel powerless in love. For your sexual energy is not merely about intimacy. It is your life force itself. It is the river of vitality that makes you magnetic, alive, undeniable. When you reclaim it, you no longer perform femininity as an act. You embody it as a truth. Begin with something simple. Each morning, take a moment to enter your body with awareness. Feel the way your breath moves through you. Place your hands at your center, the space just below your navel, and imagine a warm golden light glowing there. This is your energy. This is your power. Let it spread throughout you, filling your chest, your arms, your legs, until you are lit from within. When you walk through the world after this practice, men will feel something they cannot explain, a presence that draws them, an aura that whispers of depth and vitality. They will not know why, but they will know they cannot look away. The second practice is the creation of a sacred space. Understand this. Most men live behind walls. From childhood, they are taught to bury their fears, to silence their tears, to wear strength like armor. And so they walk through life armored, admired perhaps, but never truly free. When you become the rare woman who allows him to set that armor down, he will not forget you. Create moments where he feels safe to show what he hides. When he admits confusion, do not rush to fix him. When he reveals weakness, do not shrink from it. Hold space for him with your listening, with your stillness, with the quiet assurance that he is enough even in his imperfection. That kind of acceptance is rare, and it breeds a devotion deeper than passion. The third practice takes you into the realm Jung called the shadow. Every man carries fragments of himself he denies, the desires he is ashamed of, the wounds he hides, the insecurities he fears will make him unworthy. These shadows consume his energy, locking it away. But when a woman reflects those hidden parts back to him without judgment, when she says, "I see you and I do not turn away," she unlocks that energy. Suddenly, what he once used to hide himself becomes fuel to love more fully. His repression dissolves, and the force that once drained him begins to flow toward you. But be warned, this is not for the faint of heart. To embrace a man's shadow, you must first embrace your own. You cannot hold his darkness if you run from your own. This is why the path of magnetic presence is always a path of self-discovery. As you integrate your own hidden parts, you become strong enough to hold his. And in that shared unveiling, obsession is born, not the shallow obsession of lust, but the binding obsession of recognition. The fourth practice is the dance of polarity. Masculine and feminine energies are not roles, they are currents. When you embody your feminine energy, fluid, alive, receptive, radiant, you ignite his masculine essence more vividly than any words could. You are not passive, you are not weak. You are the ocean, vast and untamed, and his masculine energy longs to meet it with structure, with direction, with fire. When you allow this polarity to play between you, sometimes leading, sometimes yielding, sometimes intertwining. You create a rhythm that is endlessly magnetic. He cannot tire of you because you are never static. You are alive, unfolding, a mystery he cannot finish. The fifth practice is ritual. Jung knew that ritual bridges the conscious and unconscious, the ordinary and the sacred. And in love, ritual creates anchors that bind his energy to you. These need not be grand gestures. It could be the way you greet him each morning, the way you share a silence before sleep, the way you touch his hand when words fall short. Repetition weaves meaning into the fabric of your connection, until even when you are apart, the memory of your rituals keeps you alive in him. Anticipation becomes devotion, and devotion becomes obsession. What unites all these practices is one truth. Obsession is not created by performance, but by presence. The woman who tries to copy techniques without embodying them will never touch his depths. But the woman who lives these truths, who breathes them, who becomes them, awakens in him a longing that no one else can satisfy. Because obsession is not about what you do. It is about who you are when you are fully alive. And here lies the secret most women miss. The more you chase, the more his energy scatters. But when you stand in stillness, when you embody your essence, his energy rushes towards you like water toward gravity. You do not need to pull. You simply need to be. And in that being, he will feel something rare, the sense that with you, he has come home. This is the alchemy Jung hinted at, the transformation of raw desire into devotion, of fleeting attraction into eternal fascination. It is not the obsession of chains, but the obsession of freedom. A man bound not because you trapped him, but because he cannot imagine life without the expansion you bring. When Jung studied the mystery of human attraction, he discovered that much of what we call love begins as projection. A man looks at a woman and unconsciously projects onto her the image of his anima, the feminine spirit living inside his psyche. This is why some men are drawn to women who seem ordinary to others. It isn't about her surface. It's about how she reflects his inner image back to him. She becomes the mirror of what his soul longs for. Understanding this is powerful, because when you become aware of what archetypes live in his unconscious, you can embody them, not as an act, not as a performance, but as a conscious reflection of your own depths. Perhaps his anima is shaped as the muse, the woman who inspires his creativity, or the healer who restores what life has broken, or the warrior goddess who challenges him to rise, or the priestess who initiates him into mystery. When you recognize which of these resonates with him, and when you highlight that essence within yourself, not artificially, but authentically, you become not just a partner, but a revelation. And when that happens, his sexual energy is no longer merely about desire. It becomes an obsession born of recognition, as if he has finally found in you the missing piece he has carried within him all along. But here is the nuance. You are not simply playing a role to fit his fantasy. You are awakening parts of yourself that align with the depths of who you truly are. This is why authenticity matters more than anything else. Projection may begin the fire, but authenticity keeps it burning. This is also why mystery is so essential. If a man can fully name you, fully categorize you, fully know you, the projection dies. But if you remain expansive, if there are always new layers, new depths, new mysteries in you, his energy never ceases to flow. Obsession thrives on the infinite. It is not the hunger for what is already consumed, but the hunger for what is endlessly unfolding. Jung spoke of something even greater than projection, the conjunctio, the sacred union of opposites. This is the moment when masculine and feminine, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow meet so completely that a new reality is born. In ancient alchemy, this was depicted as the sun and moon uniting, producing the rebus, a symbol of wholeness. In love, this is the moment when two souls merge so deeply that they create something larger than either could be alone. When you reach this union with a man, obsession takes its highest form. It is no longer just about attraction. It becomes a constant preoccupation, a fascination that never fades, a desire that is as spiritual as it is physical. He does not just want your body. He wants your essence, your wisdom, your presence, your soul. He becomes restless in your absence, because without you, he feels incomplete. And yet, this union is not suffocation. It is liberation, because in you, he does not lose himself. He finds more of himself than he ever knew existed. So how do you invite this sacred union into your relationship? One way is through polarity in intimacy, when you allow yourself to alternate between giving and receiving, between guiding and surrendering, between softness and intensity. You create a living dance. He never feels that he has reached the end of you. You are always unfolding, always revealing something new. And that keeps his energy alive, continually renewing itself, continually drawn back to you. Another way is through the power of shared rituals. Ritual is not about routine. It is about meaning. When you weave intentional moments into your relationship, you create anchors for his energy, a way of greeting that only the two of you share, a nightly pause to breathe together before sleep, a symbolic gesture that carries more meaning than words ever could. Over time, these rituals become pathways for his unconscious to attach to you. Even in your absence, the memory of them keeps him tied to you. His body remembers, his soul remembers, and obsession grows, not as a cage, but as a bond. But the greatest key of all is this: obsession is born when you stop trying to possess him and start awakening yourself. Because the more fully you inhabit your own being, the more magnetic you become. Men are not obsessed with women who lose themselves in them. They are obsessed with women who remain whole, who remain mysterious, who remain radiant in their own light. That light is what they circle, what they worship, what they cannot let go of. And this brings us to one of Jung's most profound insights: individuation, the process of becoming fully yourself. Paradoxically, the more you focus on becoming whole within yourself, the more irresistible you become to a man, because his soul craves the reflection of wholeness, and when you embody it, he cannot stay away. He may not even understand why, but he feels it in his bones, that in you, he encounters something real, something eternal, something he cannot lose without losing himself. This is the alchemy of attraction transformed into devotion. It is the fire that does not burn out but refines, that does not consume but elevates, and it is available to you the moment you stop seeking it outside and start cultivating it within. So let me say this clearly: your power is not in what you do to him, but in who you allow yourself to become. You are not trying to bend his will. You are awakening your own essence. And in that awakening, his energy flows to you naturally, endlessly, obsessively. Not because you demanded it, but because you became the one place where his soul feels at home. By now you can feel it, the shift from seeing attraction as a surface game to understanding it as a profound transformation. But to walk this path, you must also know the challenges it brings. Because when you awaken deep forces in yourself and in a man, shadows rise. Old wounds surface. Patterns you thought you buried will come alive again. This is not punishment. It is purification. It is the unconscious finally demanding to be seen. And this can be uncomfortable. It can stir insecurities, doubts, even fears in both of you. But if you can hold steady through it, if you can meet his shadows and your own with compassion instead of judgment, you will find yourself on the other side of something extraordinary. Because here is the truth. Obsession of this kind is not destructive when it is rooted in authenticity. It does not imprison. It liberates. It turns lust into devotion, attraction into reverence, desire into destiny. But for it to be real, you must stay rooted in balance. You cannot dominate him, nor allow yourself to be dominated. True obsession thrives where both souls rise together, where both recognize their wholeness and bring it into union. That is why every practice begins with you, your awareness, your self-connection, your authenticity. Some women will never choose this path. It asks too much. It requires vulnerability, courage, the willingness to face yourself without masks. It asks that you stop treating men as answers to your emptiness and start treating yourself as the vessel of life itself. It asks that you release the illusion of control and instead embody presence. But for those who dare, the reward is beyond words. Because this isn't only about making a man obsessed. It is about awakening the kind of love that transforms both of you. Imagine what it feels like when a man doesn't just want your body, but craves your wisdom, your perspective, your spirit. When his creativity flourishes around you. When his soul seems to light up simply by being near you. Imagine him restless in your absence, not because of fear or jealousy, but because he longs for the expansion that only you bring. That is not a shallow romance. That is alchemy. That is the fire Jung spoke of, the sacred flame that unites opposites into wholeness. And yet, the most breathtaking revelation of all is this. In learning to channel his energy, you discover that you are also channeling your own. You recover the pieces of your femininity that society told you to bury. You reclaim your sensuality as sacred, your presence as magnetic, your mystery as power. You stop being afraid of your own depth, and when that happens, you don't just become irresistible to him, you become inevitable. You become the catalyst for his growth, just as he becomes one for yours. This is what Jung hinted at when he said relationships can be the greatest path of individuation, because in the mirror of another, we see what we could never find alone. In the crucible of intimacy, we awaken to the hidden parts of ourselves, and in awakening them, we become whole. So do not take this lightly. The power you carry as a woman is immense. When you embody it, you are not just another presence in his life. You are the presence that shapes his destiny. You are the mystery he cannot solve, the home he cannot leave, the flame he cannot extinguish. This is obsession, yes, but not the toxic kind that burns out. It is the holy kind, the kind that renews itself endlessly, the kind that binds two souls together in a dance of evolution. And it all begins with you, with your decision to stop seeking validation outside and start awakening your own essence, with your willingness to hold both your light and your shadow, to be fully present in your body, to embody your femininity as something divine. From there, everything else flows naturally. His attention, his energy, his devotion, his obsession. If you feel the truth of this rising in you, if you sense the power of these words stirring something ancient in your soul, do not ignore it. This is your awakening. This is the moment your life begins to shift. Share this with the women in your circle, because sisterhood grows stronger when we rise together. And let yourself step boldly into this new reality, because you are not here to beg for scraps of love. You are here to embody love itself. And when you do, he will feel it. He will know it. He will never forget it. And he will never, ever let you go. And remember this, when you learn to channel his energy, it's not just about making him obsessed with you. It's about awakening the sacred power that has always lived inside you. The power to turn fleeting attraction into devotion and desire into destiny. You are not just someone he wants. You become the home his soul has been searching for. And once he feels that, he can never unknow it. If this truth resonated with you, don't just keep it to yourself. Share this message with another woman who deserves to awaken her power. Subscribe now to Heartsync X and type the word awaken in the comments to declare that you're ready to step into the magnetic presence you were born for. Your journey begins here. Are you ready to claim it?